Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're digging into a book that honestly really changed how I think about getting things done, about progress. It's Atomic Habits,
Oh, yeah, it's a big one.
definitely. And if you've ever felt kind of stuck, maybe trying to build a good habit or break a bad one, this deep dive could be, well, a shortcut to some really useful ideas. We're going to pull out the key stuff, the big takeaways.
One good example for each main point, kind of like a highlights reel for busy people.
Exactly. Giving you that solid overview of why these tiny, tiny changes can actually lead to, well, huge results.
It's funny how we miss that, isn't it? The power of something small. Like, how much difference does a baseball bat slipping just a little bit make? Or, improving something by just 1%.
Seems like nothing.
Right. But it turns out it can be massive. And the author, James Clear, he gets this from a really personal place.
Yeah, his own story is pretty intense. He talks about being in high school, sophomore year, and a baseball bat flies out of someone's hands, hits him right in the face. Yeah, really serious injuries. Broken nose, skull fractures. He was even in a coma for a bit. And baseball was everything to him.
That must have been devastating.
Totally. He gets cut from the team after being out for so long. But then, just a few years later, he's not only back playing, but he's named a top athlete at his university, an academic All-American.
So how did he manage that turnaround?
That's the whole point, right? It wasn't one giant leap. It was all these small, consistent things he did during his recovery, day after day. Tiny improvements.
And that's where he lands on this core idea, atomic habits. The word atomic itself means like the smallest possible unit, right? The basic building block. So the idea is that these super small atomic level changes, they're the foundation. They stack up, they compound, and eventually create these really remarkable outcomes.
It reminds me of that British cycling team story. The one.
Oh, the aggregation of marginal gains. Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Right. Before this guy, Dave Brailsford, took over, British cycling was, well, not great.
That's putting it mildly. Like, one Olympic gold in 100 years. Never won the Tour de France.
Yeah, apparently it was so bad, bike manufacturers wouldn't even sell them bikes,
Yeah.
worried it would hurt their brand.
Wow, so Brailsford comes in and his whole approach is just improve everything by 1%.
Everything, like the bike seat comfort, what the riders ate, even the massage gel they used after training, tiny little tweaks everywhere.
And the combined effect, that aggregation, it was just unbelievable. Suddenly they're dominating Tour de France wins, loads of Olympic medals, all from those tiny 1% shifts adding up.
Shows that compounding effect. And speaking of things adding up, but maybe not being visible right away, there's this other concept in the book I found really helpful, the plateau of latent potential.
Ah, yes, the ice cube analogy. That's a good one.
Yeah. So picture an ice cube in a cold room, say 25 degrees Fahrenheit. You slowly warm the room, 26, 27, 28 degrees.
Nothing's happening, still ice.
Exactly. You're
Mhm.
putting in the effort, warming the room, but you see no change in the ice cube. But then you hit 32 degrees.
And suddenly it melts. Breakthrough.
Right. All that effort that seemed wasted, all that stored energy, it finally shows up. It makes you think about when we're working on something and not seeing results.
That's it. That's why people quit so often. We expect progress to be, linear, like a nice steady upward line.
But it's usually not.
Rarely ever. You put in the work, nothing seems to happen, you get discouraged, you're in that valley of disappointment, as he calls it. And maybe you give up right before you hit that 32-degree melting point.
So the effort isn't lost, it's just stored potential. Latent. That's a much better way to think about it when you feel like you're just grinding away. Okay, so tiny changes matter. Persistence through the plateau matters.
But how do we actually make these changes? This is where the book really flips things.
Yeah, this is the big one. Forget about goals. Focus on systems.
It sounds so wrong at first. We're always told, set goals, big goals, smart goals.
I know, right? But think about it. Goals are about the result you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results.
So, problem number one with goals, they're temporary. Like, you set a goal to clean your messy room, you achieve it, great, room's clean.
For about 5 minutes, in my case.
Exactly. If your habit, your system for keeping things tidy hasn't changed, it's just going to get messy again. You treated the symptom, not the cause. The system is what delivers results consistently.
And the second issue with goals, this one really hit me, is that they can kind of mess with your happiness.
Yeah, that I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. You're always putting happiness off until you reach the milestone.
Right. But if you focus on the system, on the process itself,
you can enjoy the process. If you love the system of, say, going for a run every morning, you get satisfaction every time you do it, not just if you eventually run a marathon.
That makes so much sense.
Okay.
Okay, so systems over goals.
Yeah.
And this leads to the really deep level, doesn't it? Identity.
Yes. This is the core. It's not just, I want to write a book
Yeah.
outcome. It's, I want to become a writer.
hmm
Identity.
Ah, so the change comes from becoming the type of person who does the thing you want to do.
Precisely. And every time you perform that habit, you're basically casting a vote for that identity. Doing one push-up casts a vote for I am someone who exercises. Over time, those votes add up and shape who you believe you are.
Okay, powerful foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Systems, identity, tiny changes. Now, how do we build these habits? The book gives us 4 laws, practical steps. The first one is make it obvious.
Makes sense. You can't change a habit if you're not even aware of it, right?
Yeah.
So many things we do are just automatic.
Totally on autopilot. So how do we switch the conscious brain on?
He suggests something simple. The habit scorecard. Just list your daily habits. Woke up, check phone, brush teeth, make coffee, whatever. Then mark each one, positive, plus, negative, or neutral.
No judgment, just noticing.
Exactly. Just bringing awareness, like that pointing and calling system they use on Japanese railways. The conductors physically point at signals and say aloud, signal is green. It makes an unconscious check conscious and reduces errors.
That's clever. Okay, so you're aware. Then what? How do you make the new habit obvious?
Use implementation intentions. It's a fancy name for a really clear plan. The formula is, I will behavior at time and location.
Super specific, not just I'll exercise more.
Right. It's, I will do 20 minutes of yoga at 7 a.m. in my living room. That clarity removes the guesswork and makes it much more likely you'll actually do it.
And you can link it to stuff you already do, right? Habit stacking?
Yeah, that's another great one. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit. So, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. You attach the new habit to an existing ingrained one.
It's like using the old habit as a trigger for the new one. Smart. And environment design plays a big role here, too.
Huge. Make the cues for your good habits unavoidable. You want to practice guitar, don't hide it in the closet.
Put it on a stand right in the middle of the living room.
Exactly. Make it easy, make it obvious. The more visual the cue, the more likely you are to act on it without even thinking too much.
Okay, so that's for good habits. What about bad ones? You do the opposite.
Precisely. That's the inversion of the first law. Make it invisible. Reduce your exposure to the things that trigger the bad habit.
Get the cookies out of the house.
Basically, yes. He uses this really powerful example from the Vietnam War. A surprisingly high number of U.S. soldiers used heroin over there.
Right, I remember reading that.
But when they came home, very few relapsed compared to typical addiction rates. Why? The environment changed completely. The triggers, the stress, the access, the social context were gone.
So it wasn't just about willpower. It was about changing the environment to remove the cues.
It suggests that people we think of as highly disciplined might just be better at structuring their lives to avoid temptation in the first place. They make the bad habits invisible.
That's a really interesting way to think about self-control. Okay, law 1, make it obvious or invisible. What's law 2?
Law 2, make it attractive. Once the cue is there, you need to actually want to do the thing.
This gets into the brain chemistry, right?
Yep.
Dopamine.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about dopamine, often called the pleasure chemical, is that it spikes more in anticipation of a reward than during the reward itself. It's the wanting, the craving that drives us.
Our brains are wired for the chase.
Pretty much. And that's why we fall for supernormal stimuli. Modern food, technology, media, they often exaggerate the features that naturally attract us, making them almost irresistible.
Like junk food engineered to hit that perfect bliss point of salt, sugar, and fat. Way more attractive than, say, plain broccoli.
Exactly. Our ancient brains just aren't equipped to handle these hyper-attractive modern temptations easily.
So how do we use this for good habits? How do we make meditating as attractive as checking Instagram?
Well, maybe not that attractive, but we can boost it with temptation bundling. This is where you pair something you want to do with something you need to do.
Like that student who hacked his exercise bike.
Ronan Byrne, yeah. Loved Netflix, needed to exercise, so he rigged his bike so Netflix only played if he was cycling above a certain speed.
Brilliant. He bundled the temptation, Netflix, with the necessary habit, exercise.
Made the exercise much more attractive. Another huge factor is social norms. We're wired to fit in. We imitate the habits of the people around us, our friends, our family, the groups we belong to.
So if everyone in your circle smokes, it feels normal, even attractive to smoke, if they all run marathons.
You're much more likely to see running as attractive and give it a try yourself. Surround yourself with people whose habits you want to adopt.
Okay, and the inversion, making bad habits unattractive.
It's about reframing, changing how you think about the craving. He mentions Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking.
Oh yeah, that book's famous.
Carr doesn't just tell you smoking is bad. He systematically dismantles every perceived benefit of smoking. Like, you think it calms your nerves? No, it actually destroys them. By the end, the reader hopefully sees smoking as genuinely unattractive, not something they're giving up, but something they're escaping.
Shifting the perspective entirely. Okay, law 1, obvious. Law 2, attractive. What's law 3?
Law 3, make it easy. This is crucial. It's about reducing friction.
And focusing on just showing up.
Yes, repetition over perfection. He tells that story about the ceramics class.
The quantity versus quality groups.
Right. One group graded on the sheer volume of pots they made, the other on the perfection of a single pot. Guess who made the better pots in the end?
The quantity group, because they practice so much.
Exactly. They were constantly doing reps, learning from mistakes, getting better through sheer volume. The act of doing it, even imperfectly, is what matters most for building the habit pathway in your brain.
It taps into that law of least effort, doesn't it? We naturally drift towards the easiest option.
We do. It's human nature. Why walk uphill when there's a flat path? He gives the example of agriculture spreading faster east-west across continents than north-south.
Because the climate was similar, so adapting crops took less effort.
Yep. Less friction. So we need to design our good habits to follow that path of least resistance. Reduce the steps, reduce the effort required.
Like that guy who resets the room, Oswald Knuckles.
Yeah, priming the environment. While his shower heats up, he wipes down the toilet. It's not just cleaning, it's setting up the bathroom for its next use, making future actions easier. He calls himself proactively lazy.
Huh. I like that. Preparing things to make the right choice the easy choice later. It highlights those small choices that set you up for success.
Those decisive moments. The small choice you make now that dictates what happens for the next hour. Like after work, change into workout clothes right away, or sit on the couch first.
Getting into the workout clothes is the key. Once you've done that, actually going to the gym feels much easier.
That little action reduces the friction for the bigger one, which leads perfectly to the 2-minute rule.
Oh, this one's super practical.
Totally. When you start a new habit, make it take less than 2 minutes to do.
So not read a book every night.
No, read 1 page every night. The goal is to master the art of showing up, to make starting the habit incredibly easy. Often, once you've started, you'll keep going anyway, but the hurdle is just beginning. 2 minutes makes that hurdle tiny.
Okay. Obvious, attractive, easy. That brings us to the final law, Law 4.
Make it satisfying. This is what makes a habit stick long-term.
Because of the cardinal rule of behavior change.
Exactly. What is immediately rewarded gets repeated.
Yeah.
What is immediately punished gets avoided.
And that's the problem with good habits, right? The reward is often way down the line. Exercise now, feel healthier, eventually.
While the bad habit, eating the donut, gives you that instant hit of pleasure, our brains are biased towards immediate gratification.
So we need to find ways to give ourselves an immediate reward for the good habits.
Yes. Find a way to feel successful right away. Remember the hand-washing example in Pakistan?
With the better soap.
Yeah, Stephen Luby's team. People knew they should wash their hands, but they didn't always do it. When they introduced soap that smelled nice and foamed up well,
Suddenly hand washing felt a little more pleasant, immediately satisfying.
and rates went up dramatically, health improved. That small, immediate sensory reward made a huge difference. Or you could create a visual reward, like moving money to a trip to Europe savings account every time you skip eating out.
Ah, like making the reward tangible right away.
Yeah.
Habit tracking works like this too, doesn't it?
Definitely. Putting that X on the calendar after you complete your habit feels good. It's immediate visual proof of progress. It's motivating.
And the rule there is never miss twice.
Right. Missing once is okay, it happens. But get back on track the very next day. Don't let one slip up, derail everything. Consistency compounds.
Okay, and the inversion for bad habits. Make it unsatisfying immediately.
Yep. Introduce some immediate cost or pain. An accountability partner is a classic way, telling someone your goal and having them check in.
Or that habit contract idea, like the guy who had to pay his trainer if he didn't log his food.
Brian Harris, yeah. Or having to dress up formally every day, making the consequence immediate and maybe slightly embarrassing or costly makes you really want to avoid slipping up.
It raises the stakes immediately, not just vaguely thinking, this is bad for me long term. Okay, those are the 4 laws. Makes a lot of sense. What about getting really good, though? Going beyond just establishing the habit.
Right, some advanced tactics. First, acknowledging genes and talent. Not in a limiting way, but realistically.
So genes aren't destiny, but they matter.
They suggest areas where things might come easier to you, areas of opportunity. The key is to play a game that favors your strengths. If you're naturally built for swimming, maybe focus there instead of trying to force yourself to be a marathon runner if that feels like torture.
Like the author creating his own biomechanics major because it fit his interests better than pure physics or biology.
Exactly. Find where your natural inclinations align with opportunities. It makes the effort feel less like, well, effort.
Makes sense. Then there's the Goldilocks rule.
Keeping things just right in terms of difficulty. We thrive on challenges that are manageable but still push us slightly. Not too easy, that's boring. Not too hard, that's discouraging.
Like Steve Martin, adding just a little bit of new material to his comedy routine at a time.
Yeah, constantly pushing the edge, but not so much that he failed completely. Just enough success to stay motivated, just enough challenge to keep improving. Find that sweet spot for your habits.
But even then, you hit the goal of boredom.
The biggest threat. Not failure, but boredom. Once a habit is established, it can become routine, mundane.
And that's when people often quit, even if they're good at it.
Right. Mastery requires falling in love with the process, even the boring parts. Professionals stick to the schedule even when they don't feel like it. Amateurs let their mood dictate their actions. You have to embrace the repetition.
Which requires staying mindful,
Right.
not just going through the motions.
Which leads to the last point, reflection and review. As habits become automatic, which is good, we can also become less sensitive to small errors or ways to improve.
Mindless repetition isn't mastery.
No. So you need to build in moments to reflect. Are you still getting better? Where can you tweak things? Like the LA Lakers using that CBE score under Phil Jackson.
Tracking positive and negative actions to keep focused on continuous improvement.
Exactly. Combining automatic habits with deliberate practice and reflection. That's how you keep getting better over the long haul.
Wow. Okay. So much practical stuff packed in there. If we boil it down for you, our listener, what's the core message?
It really comes back to that power of compounding. Small changes consistently applied lead to remarkable results. Remember the 4 laws. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
And understand the desire might get you started, but it's that immediate satisfaction that keeps you going.
Yeah. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. The book suggests that your actions really show what you truly want.
Yeah.
If you keep saying something's important, but you never actually do anything about it, maybe you just like the idea of it, rather than actually wanting the reality of it, including the effort it requires.
So a challenge for all of us.
Yeah.
What do our current actions, our current habits, truly say about what we want most?
Something to think about.